Welcome back to another breakdown on Sweet Science of Fighting. We have Tom Aspinall's UFC 309 fight camp training vlog. So obviously he was a standby here. So this particular footage, I believe, is just him visiting another gym to do some training. So I kind of just want to break down, what, why, how, when, if this is applicable to something that you could be doing. Again, nothing against fighters, coaches, anything like that. This is just a breakdown just so you can see kind of what is going on. Now, also, I have just launched the early bird sale for the Coaches Corner. So this is for combat sports, S&C coaches. Go down the description. Early bird prices only this weekend. Absolutely banging. Research breakdowns every month. We have live chats with Seth Linetsky every single month that is recorded as well. We also have coach presentations every single month. The first one is coming up. It'll be the first week of December. It is on breath hold training physiology. Then we have Lee Brown's Muay Thai research. He will be presenting, and then there's so many more ready to go. So make sure you get into that community. If you're a fighter, the MMA and Jiu-Jitsu strength conditioning blueprint is also down in the description. It's completely free. So, so we have a little ladder warm up. I think you guys know my stance on ladders if you've watched any of my stuff before. Doesn't really serve much purpose, to be honest. Oh, they even got the lights out too, which is quite funny. So to create just some general competition, something like that, sure, they drive some intent. In terms of physical preparation, you're not getting anything out of it. Remember when we're talking ladders? Let's just call ladders for what they are often used for, and that is speed and agility. And if we break those down, speed is the ability to produce force very quickly, being able to displace or move your body or center of mass quickly from one place to another. And obviously there's a skill component to the actual sprinting too. Unfortunately, ladders don't give you any of that because you're not having to produce as much, just like this, right? You're not having to produce that much force. You're kind of just moving your feet very, very quickly. Regarding agility is a combination of a cognitive, so the mind and the brain, and physical components. And I've broken this down many times on the channel, how ladders, flashing lights, etc. do not make you more agile for combat sports, because the information you need to process has to be specific to the sport. So general reaction like this doesn't improve specific, I guess you could say, interpretation of what is happening in front of you. So if I get better at punching flashing lights like this, it does not mean I'm going to get better at reacting or reading an opponent when they're going to throw a punch, shoot takedowns, whatever that is. And if you go back, I've got quite a few videos on this, but essentially if you break down agility into its physical and cognitive components, the cognitive components are knowledge of the situation, anticipation, visual processing. So there's a lot involved that is specific to the sport that you need to spend time doing reps, sparring, being in certain technical situations where you have to solve that problem. Now, obviously, you have the physical component too, which it looks like this is trying to address as well by having these bands wrapped around the waist. So into the physical components, it's being able to produce force quickly. It's eccentric strength and power, because you need to be able to quickly go from an eccentric to concentric style contraction, being elastic, just being generally powerful. Now, the issue here is, what is the overload? And if you want to create overload, or if you want to develop strength, power, speed, whatever it is, you have to have some form of overload. And the overload either needs to come from speed, so velocity, or it needs to come from force or strength. And certain methods, for example, like eccentric training, you can get a combination of both. That's why it's so potent. You can get high forces and high speeds. With concentric based work, just think like your normal bench press, squat, etc. You have the force velocity relationship that are inversed. So heavy loads are typically slow, lighter loads you can move very fast. And you need to provide some form of overload to be able to stimulate these adaptations that you want from the training. Now, unfortunately, when you're just putting a light band around your waist and running into lights and kind of touching them, you're not providing that overload to force the body to make these changes. And that's where this kind of training really falls short. Now, I'm not saying that this is Tom's training all the time. Also, he's just dropped into a gym and he's just doing jumping in with what they're doing. But, punching the light that is solid green instead of a number or a whatever it is not going to transfer to MMA. Unfortunately, it would be nice if it did, because you could just do this stuff all the time and lower your MMA train load, use it as a recovery thing. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't do much there. So it's important that you have an overload. Regarding the cognitive component, you need to be able to spend as much time as possible in fight situations. And it doesn't mean that you have to be 100% sparring all the time. It just means that you need to be able to create these situations in training to be able to solve those problems. And grappling and jiu-jitsu does it really, really well, because you do a lot of positional work. In striking arts, probably less so. I mean, Muay Thai is quite good because they do a lot of, I guess you could call it quote unquote play sparring, where it's more light sparring often. And that way you're still able to get into situations or positions or see things from an opponent by the way they're going to throw them. You're going to pick up different cues. You're going to pick up things you can do before, after, or during whatever's happening during those moments. You can try things and fail. You can move left, move right, whatever it is. But it's about being in a situation that is going to improve your overall agility versus tying a band around you and just touching lights. Now, in terms of a conditioning stimulus, I mean, this could, just as a very general stimulus, sure, you could do something like this. I don't think it's going to do much for you. Again, what is the overload? Because the overload's either got to be some kind of volume or it's got to be intensity. And this is kind of that middle range where you can't get much volume because the reps are so short, and you can't get the intensity because the space is so short. So just bear that in mind if you're looking to do some more flashing light stuff and ladder stuff. It's only going to get you so far. But make sure you check the links in the description. Everything is down there for you. A lot of free stuff. And for the coaches, there's a new thing for you there.